What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bryce Crawford podcast. I'm Bryce, and in today's episode, have another amazing special guest, Nala.
Nala Ray.
Thanks for coming on. Wait, is that your real name?
Yeah.
Nala? That's super cool. She's going to be sharing her testimony. You guys have probably seen her before on the internet, maybe sharing her testimony. So powerful. I already know it's going to be powerful. I don't know her story because I've been avoiding the podcast. So it's fresh to me. Now I'm super excited to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about, I'm not in my merch, obviously. We're in Nala and her husband's new clothing brand. We'll talk about y'all's organization too towards the end and y'all's heart. Because when you were telling me a little bit about it on the phone last week, I was super encouraged.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the whole point about it. So
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what it was like growing up. Where did you grow up? What state? What was your family like? Did you know about Jesus? Kind of like tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Illinois, like a really tiny small town. My family dynamic, I'm the middle of 5 children, so a total family of 7. And, you know, we weren't Christians, especially when I was a kid, but we traveled a whole bunch because I was homeschooled. And so, we traveled a lot in a camper just to like kind of see a lot of America, I guess, as a family. And it sounded all like great, you know, like as a kid, like it was pretty fun. And then I guess like when I was 9, my dad cheated on my mom, and then they got divorced for 2 years. And so he completely left the picture and moved to Mexico. So we didn't get to see my dad for like 2 years, and all of us kids had no idea why. Like we were just like, oh my gosh, my dad is gone now. He's not in the picture anymore. And then so slowly after that, my dad started reconnecting with my mom again. Supposedly like they fell in love again, and then they remarried 2 years later. So it was a really crazy story, but like a happy story for us kids because we're like, oh great, mom and dad are back together again. Right. So at that point I was like 11, almost 12. My dad shortly after that started getting into ministry, and like we started going to church, and then very shortly after that he became like a Baptist pastor. We were pastoring like very tiny churches, like maybe total of like 45 people in a congregation. Yeah. And that was also in tiny small towns in like the South. And we went through 3 like pretty big church splits. I couldn't tell you what the reason was for those like church splits. Honestly, I really don't know, but it definitely felt like one divorce after another. You know what I'm saying? Because you continue to like get to know the people of the church and start to love them. And then all of a sudden, like you're seeing this side of them that wasn't there in the beginning, like fighting, arguing, like disagreeing with your family. And then all of a sudden wanting your family out of the church. Whoa. So yeah, it was pretty hectic as a kid, as like a younger preteen.
So what was your dad's behavior before the original divorce? And then afterwards, like when your mom and dad got married, was he like getting into Christianity or like did he just come back out of the blue out of 2 years and he was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a Christian, I'm about to do ministry? Well,
before they got divorced, there was no sense of spirituality before that, like none whatsoever. We never attended churches or anything like that. So it was just like doing our own thing as a family. But then after that, he like slowly started getting into ministry, like slowly going to church, slowly started bringing his family into church. They got married in the church that we were going to at the time. It was a Baptist church. And then we left that. And that's, I was going to Christian private school at that time, very tiny school, for 4 years from like 4th through 8th grade. And then we went right back into homeschooling. So gotcha. But he was already pastoring churches and stuff, and we were traveling to other churches so he could be the pastor of it and stuff like that.
Oh, so it wasn't like super random.
No, it didn't feel random at all. Okay. It was just kind of like, it kind of all of a sudden we started becoming spiritual, but then after that we were going to church, and he said he felt a calling on his life to be a pastor. So, you know, we just had to support him. So
interesting. Well, yeah, one of my friends, his name, I don't know if you guys know Todd White.
Yes.
But he was sharing his testimony with me one time, and he was talking to me about how his wife was trying to leave him at one point. Wow. And so he would say like to his kid at the time, oh yeah, go tell mommy I'm a Christian so she'll come back to me. But he wasn't really a Christian yet. My. And so that's why I asked that question, because I feel like so many people are in like a position where maybe someone like their parents or someone in their life will say, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, like I'm good. Like someone might be even in a dating relationship,
Right.
and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, like we're good, and then they're not really.
Right.
So that's why I asked if there was like some sort of, I don't know, hidden motive. But to you
it
guys,
didn't seem like it, because like they were married first before they got into Christianity.
Gotcha.
Again, for the second time married, and then slowly started being in the church more and more. And then that's when my dad felt the calling on his life to be a pastor. So, like as a kid, like when he was pastoring, I couldn't tell you one sermon that I remember or anything like that. I just remember like all of us kids were like, had to do things in the church. Like we have to show face for the church. You know, we have to be there super early in the morning, greet people as they're coming in, be on the worship team, be in Sunday school, like leaders of all these little tiny things. Like there was a puppet class. Like we had to be involved in that because again, we're the pastor's family, stuff like that, you know, and it just felt so forced. It wasn't like, I actually want to be here. I actually want to do this. This is like my dad and mom are telling me to do this. I have to do this.
Whoa. And that went on from 8th grade through high school. He was pastoring churches.
I'd say I was in 5th or 6th grade to 18 years old.
Okay. So what was high school like for you then? So you get out of 8th
homeschooled.
grade and homeschooled. So I guess you didn't really have like crazy high school
I didn't
experience.
have friends. It was just my siblings, you know what I'm saying? Being at home a lot. I started working a job at 15. I wanted to be out of my house so bad. Like I hated my environment. I felt so alone and so isolated and just kind of like a caged bird, you know? And I just wanted to leave so bad because again, it just felt like we have to do all of these things. And then I had my first boyfriend when I was 16. He was going to the church. He ended up like was just crazy and like slashed the tires on my car and stuff. We had to go get to get a restraining order against him and his family because they were just horrible people. And so like that was my first like dating experience.
It's a very intense dating experience.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But yeah, so much in my life just changed constantly. And then like the hurt from my parents going through those church splits, and there were still trust issues from the cheating, and like that carried out through their relationship. And like in my head, in my opinion, it was never shown that like this was a really good, healthy relationship. Me personally, I wish they would have stayed divorced. Like I feel like they weren't really meant to be together. Like that's great that you popped out 5 kids, but after that, like, what about us? What about our mental health? What about our lives? You know, we were just shoved into the church and like expected to do things for them, you know, like little workers, you know, instead of actually wanting to be there. And like, they didn't really care about our spirituality. Like they never checked in on us about how we're feeling or if we had questions. It was just show up, you know what I'm saying? And it sucked. It really sucked.
Whoa. So you go through 18 years old, all high school, no friends, nothing really. When you're transitioning out, like you said something that was really important to me. You were like, I want to leave my environment. Do you think that was the call, like that over time feeling was from all the church splits, like seeing how people were reacting, the Christians were reacting, and your dad and mom feeling like you had to play church, all those things? Was that kind of like the ongoing maybe hardened heart towards
absolutely
Jesus?
Towards Christ? Because I'm like, if this is Christianity, if this is what it's like having a relationship with God, I don't see the benefit in it. Like what is God doing for us? Like when our family's crumbling, you know, and then we just keep getting excluded from church after church. So I'm like, so why aren't we welcomed anywhere? Why does like being in my own home not feel welcoming? You know, so I'm like, I just want to leave, you know? So I started working at 15, started working so many hours and just trying to get a car, you know? So I bought my first truck. And I was like, yes, I have some freedom. But then even at that, like my parents were like, you have to be home at a certain time, which is a very normal parenting tactic, you know, like giving your child like curfews. But even so, like that, like want to leave just kept growing and growing and growing. So at like 17, I started like sneaking out of my house at night, like super early in the morning, like 2 a.m. and coming back at like 5 a.m. and just like meeting boys or trying to meet people because I felt so sheltered. Like I'm not meeting anybody but church people. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, dude, I don't even feel like I get to be a kid. I just have to meet with old adults at church and that's it. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like my life sucked.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like as a teenager. I don't even feel like I had a teenage years or even like a kid years. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like it all left and it went by so fast. And I don't know. I wish it was different, so badly.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that feeling of, I mean, there are things definitely in my life that I totally wish I was different. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, like there are these small moments that I have with people or in circumstances that I go, I don't know if I would have reacted that way if those bad things didn't happen to me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm like
second guessing things.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I definitely have those moments. I'm like, dang, I wish that never happened. Or like I went through this awful thing. Like, why did that? But then there are those like small moments or the people that normal people can't reach, but I can reach because I went through it.
Right.
And that feels so powerful.
I feel that way with my parents a lot. Like, if my dad wouldn't have cheated on my mom, kind of like that hurt wouldn't have never been there to begin with and like fester. It they didn't receive healing from that experience, so it really carried on throughout their marriage. And so I'm like, dang, if he would have never done that to like our family and left, because like when you're a kid and one of your parents leaves, like is no longer present in the home, it damages you so much.
Right.
Because like you're missing that other half that's supposed to be helping you in life, and then you now feel kind of like you're on your own. And that's like, it's like a really scary position to be in as a kid, because you just have so many questions and you want love. Like as a kid, like that's really all you want is your love from your parents. But then my mom went through a really big like depression stage, like while I was homeschooled, and would just like stay in her room for days on end. And if she did come out, she was just like, looked like she'd been crying, hasn't been eating kind of thing. Yeah. And then like, you're just like, oh, like, what do we do now? Like, you're my teacher too. Like, I need help on schoolwork, you know? So
that's hard.
Yeah.
So were you not really close relationship wise to your dad or mom because of?
I mean, I'd say I was a little bit more after my dad came back. I wanted to build that relationship with my dad again. I missed him so much. And then like we did kind of have a better relationship than when I did like with my mom. My mom and I haven't really ever had a good relationship, which I do hope it changes. But my dad and I got pretty close more so in my 20s, like when I started OnlyFans.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. So okay, so you're 18, graduate high school, homeschool. Did you attempt to go to college?
I did, yeah. I wanted to be a dental hygienist.
Where'd you go to school?
SCF in Florida. So yeah, they had like 3 locations.
And how long did that last?
Well, I went for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then I just didn't complete my major. I dropped out because I got a job in orthopedics. Okay. And I really like the medical field. So I was like, cool, I have my big girl job. I have benefits. Like, I don't really need to continue in college. Like, because I was full-time in college and that was so much work and I was paying for college out of my own pocket. It was very expensive. So I was like, well, if I want to go get my own place, I need to quit college and I just need to work full time. So I did that and I felt a lot of freedom in that. Like I finally got my first apartment.
Well, I feel like an orthopedic job, like you just said it yourself. You're like, I got an orthopedic job. I stopped college because my job was good and it had benefits.
Right.
So most people would be like, yeah, I'm just clean living.
I don't need to go to college anymore.
Yeah. Like I don't have to do anything. Were you making pretty good money? Like
pretty decent, like $3,500 a month.
Whoa, I think it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And so you were doing that. Okay, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm just like,
fine.
dang, like that. I feel like not a lot of people get that circumstance in college.
I agree. But I worked for like 2 years in that job.
Okay.
I noticed that I wasn't being promoted at all. Like they gave me some more responsibilities, like as in like helping hire and stuff, but I didn't get paid more for it. So again, like I was like, okay, like if I need to like stick this out a little bit longer to potentially get a raise, like I'll do it because I'm like a really hard worker. I'll pour my life into my work because it's like distracting, you know, and I like that. So I worked for 2 years there, and then that's when the opportunity for OnlyFans came along when I was like 20, 21.
And where did that come from? Where did that opportunity come from?
This random person on Instagram messaged me and was like, hey, you'd be great for OnlyFans. I had no idea what OnlyFans was. We were just about to get into COVID at that time, like 2019. Whoa. So just about to hit it. And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no presence on social media, like maybe 10,000 followers on Instagram, but no other platform. I was on like nothing else. So I was like, huh. So I did some digging, found out what OnlyFans was. He told me some of the benefits of it, told me that I could make a bunch of money off of it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, well, what do you do? Just like sell pictures? Like what? And he was like, well, yeah, you can do anything on there. Like it's a subscription-based website. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I started doing that, but I started off completely just selling like really promiscuous pictures of myself and like making some custom videos, like talking to one of the subscribers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I started making wicked money, so much so that in my first month on OnlyFans, I worked so hard towards it, started a TikTok, started a Facebook, and then like started promoting it like crazy. And then I made 87 grand that first month.
Oh my gosh. You probably made double, like 2 years
at the
of your
job.
orthopedic salary
in a
month.
And that's what I thought. I was like, oh, I'm quitting. Like I'm quitting this job.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, that's crazy.
That's intense. And so was this guy like, I mean, I know like a little bit about, like, I don't know anything like you do about that side of industry, but I know when I first moved to LA, they're like OnlyFans managers. Is that who DM'd you?
No, he wasn't. He was just, so on OnlyFans, I don't know if it still has this, but you can refer people. And if you refer a person and they make good money on there, you get like 3% of what they make.
Gotcha. So it was
he was just out there to like recruit and make mad money.
Gotcha.
So I never recruited under him though, because I thought he was scamming me. So I never recruited under him. So unlucky for him, he lost out on a lot of money.
Whoa. So okay, so first month, $80-something thousand. That paycheck hits your account.
Right.
Is that what motivated you to do more? Like
and not even do more, but like I was like, oh, I can stick with this. So a couple months go by, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not earning more than that. So, but like what kept coming in was like requests to do more, like not like even just porn, but like other kinds of videos. And I was like, oh, well, you know, like it's okay with me. Like I don't know. I just felt like I could do it, and I did it, and it started to really increase my revenue. And so again, it's just like this tier, you know, they're asking for stuff. It's like supply and demand. Like they're asking for me for more and more and more. And at this point, I've already gone so far. Why not take the next step? It's such a slippery slope, because if you're like, oh, well, I've already done nudes. So like they've already seen me naked, like why can't I just do a video nude? You know what I'm saying? Like what's the difference? Again, it's just a slippery slope. So then you continue to compromise to what your customers want, and you make more money off of it.
And what was the highest month that you had ever had?
Almost 400,000. Oh
my gosh. And that was like, was that a consistent number that you were seeing every month?
My consistent number was 230,000 to 300,000 a month. That was like the most consistent I was.
Oh my gosh. And like, I guess like another question I have is, you know, they're requesting all of this stuff. You have no grid for anything going on. You're just kind of listening to the people. How, like, where, like, they're requesting bigger stuff. They're like, all right, you're selling nude pictures. They're like, they're wanting you to do porn, all of this other stuff. I mean, like, I guess my mind is like, how did you even get into that realm of it when you didn't even already know what you were doing first? Like, were people reaching out to you, or like,
you know what was happening was I was like very starved for attention, and like I like being noticed. So for me, it was a big insecurity thing, and they would compliment me like nobody would. You know, obviously it's not the right kind of complimenting, but it was still complimenting. And I was like, I'll feed off of that. So I continued to take it. And now I didn't start porn until, so my parents found out that I was doing OnlyFans. And at
how
that
many
point,
months into OnlyFans did they find out?
Like 7 months in, they found out I was on OnlyFans.
And how?
So my dad found out because at the job he was working at the time, his shop guys told him that I was on OnlyFans and that they'd seen a video of me. So he calls me, and I was like, well, I'm not going to deny it. Yeah, I'm on OnlyFans. I'm making this much money per month. And he was like, oh my God. And then one thing my dad told me was, he was like, well, if I was your age, I'd be doing the same thing. So that's how he found out. And then my mom, I was out at dinner with my parents one night, and the waiter comes up to me and is like, are you Nala Ray? And I was like, oh God, like, No. And it's hard because I have like bright red hair in a small town.
Yeah.
So like all my mom did was Google that, and she just found everything. So she wrote me a really nasty email, like not even like talking to me, just like wrote me an email and was like this is not what God has for you, like really condescending, like I'm really disappointed in you, like I can't believe you quit your other job, blah blah blah. So because at the time I was just lying to them, like they think that I'm still at the other job, so and now they don't know.
So the people that birthed you, that were claiming to be in love, your mom says not it, but the person that she claims to be in love with says, dang, if I was your age, I'd be doing the same thing.
So this is the crazy part. My mom did not know that was my dad's response, because when we met up in person the day before I moved to California, my dad had to act like he was disappointed in me. So my dad and I had a relationship at that time. My mom and I did not. But in front of my mom, my dad couldn't act like that because then he would be in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I protected him and was just like going along with his spiel towards me. Like he was like being condescending in person because he was around her.
Yeah.
But on the inside had already said that to me. You know what I'm saying?
Did he ever say any more stuff to you encouraging him? Or maybe like, did you buy him stuff with the money that you were making?
I used to send my dad money, like over like $200,000 worth of money.
Like in total, you sent him
In
over
total,
$200,000.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, over months. Like, because when I moved to California, my dad would call me. Like, the only one in my family I spoke to was my dad.
Yeah.
And so he would just call me. And it was like every time we got on the phone, it was like, hey, honey, like I'm really struggling right now. Could you like send me some? Like, I just really appreciate it so much. Or, hey, like my other two siblings were going through like some lawyer cases, like one for a kid and then one for a divorce. And like, I was just like, here, yeah, like take the money, bro. Like, here, take it. But like, I just wanted a relationship with my dad. So I didn't see what he was doing was like wrong.
Yeah.
And for me, I was just like, you know what? I can support him. Like, I'm making good money. Like, why shouldn't I? But none of my family knew that money was from me. My dad was telling him it's just from him.
Whoa.
So like that really split my family too, of like not liking me and all that stuff, because they just thought I like left and like said peace out,
Yeah,
when
made
really
a load of money.
I'm funding their lives, you know?
Right.
So that really hurt my feelings a lot, because then my dad specifically told me like, hey, if your mom found out, she'd be so sad, she'd be so disappointed if she found out like I was sending money and not talking to her. I'm like, well, what do you want me to talk to her about? Like she made it very clear to me that she doesn't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So like, why would it disappoint her even more? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just didn't make sense, but I just kept letting it go. But yeah.
So aside from him helping your siblings and asking for money, like did he have some sort of addiction that he was fueling with the money?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I know my dad was on like steroids and stuff, and my mom didn't know about it. My dad liked buying guns, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that gets into our later story.
Whoa.
With him, but yeah.
So intense. So how long did you do OnlyFans for?
5 years.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in total, how much money did you make over the course of
14 million.
$14 million.
See, this is the
Oh
thing
my
that I
gosh.
needed to explain to people. So $14 million grossed, right? That
Right.
is like the money I made OnlyFans is $14 million. So off the top, OnlyFans takes 25%. So you make a net now. That's
Yeah.
much lower. It's probably down to like 9 million. So then on top of that, I worked with an agency who was like pimping me out, basically.
They're like making you more money.
Making them more money, but like they were chatting to my people
For you.
me, like,
Gotcha.
and they took a big chunk of that, so like 40% off of everything, off of my net now.
Yeah.
So they took 40% off, and then I was living in California, and you know how expensive California
Very
is.
expensive.
Just state taxes alone, my first year was $70,000. Just state
Oh
taxes.
my gosh.
Not even anything else. And I was like, whoa. So then you have California taxes that come into play.
Right.
And then whatever's left, I get. So it goes
Whoa.
through like 3 tiers of big chunks being taken off. And then it's like, here's the rest.
And what was the appeal to move to California? I mean, what was out there for
like
you?
working with influencers, like, and I really wanted to be as far as possible away from my family.
Like, you mean working with influencers on OnlyFans? Like
on
working
OnlyFans and TikTok, and like, cause I was really getting big on TikTok at that time. So I was just like, oh, and I just wanted a new atmosphere. I was like, I knew I could get more work done. I knew I'd feel like I'd probably be somebody there.
Yeah.
And I kind of was. Like, I lived in a $4.3 million home. I drove a Porsche. I could rent any exotic car that I wanted. I had any designer bag that you could think of, like from all over the world. I went traveling all over the world by myself. Like, it was like the life, you know?
Yeah. That's so intense. 5 years, $14 million total without anything taken away from it. Now, you have an amazing husband.
I do.
He's awesome. So at what point in those 5 years did you guys meet, and how did that go down?
So it was back in 2023. We met in the end of September. I was scrolling through TikTok, and he was live battling. He had like a bulletproof helmet on. He had his like 4-level plated vest on. And he was like battling. So like a battle is like split screen between two creators, and they're like, you know, going for as many points as possible. And so I jumped in his live. I loved his energy. He was like throwing his chair, saying like, pop off. And dude, I was obsessed. I was like, I love this guy's energy. So, and I didn't think anything of it. So I just started sending gifts, and we won that battle. And I was like, oh yeah, and I'm very competitive, and so is he. So we were just like, yes, like it just gives you like a dopamine rush when you win a battle. Like, I'm telling you, it's crazy. So shortly after, he just messaged me on TikTok and was like, hey, thank you so much. I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, like he doesn't know how loaded I am. Like, I'm just like, whatever, bro. I just did it for like the fun of it.
Right.
And then I saw he was live the very next night. Did the exact same thing, won multiple battles in a row, like sending big gifts. And then he reached out to me, sent me his phone number. I sent him my phone number. I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
So then the next night, I get a FaceTime call from him, and I'm outside like bow staffing, and I'm like,
bow staffing?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like, you it's like a big stick that you swing around and do ninja moves with.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'm obsessed with bow staffing.
Cool.
And he FaceTimes me, and I'm like, why is this guy FaceTiming me? Like, this is so weird. Like, I didn't want to talk. Like, I was just gifting you. And so I pick up the phone. I'm like out of breath, and he's like, hey. I was like, hi, like, what do you want? Like, what's up? And we just started talking. We stayed on the phone that night for like 9 hours just on FaceTime. Like, he doesn't sleep. And like, we just stayed up so late, just talking, asking each other awesome, deep questions. And I felt like such a connection with him. And like, it wasn't even about liking each other. It was like, I didn't have any friends in California. Like, I know you know how fake it is, but like on the other side of that, when you're not a Christian, it is just as fake.
Right.
And like, you just feel like everybody like wants something from you, and like nobody's actually there for you. So I didn't have like any friends. And we continued to talk on FaceTime the next week and a half, like continued those awesome talks. And I don't know, it really blossomed into like, we just became like best friends. And so like a month later, we decided to meet up in Nashville with some other friends, like other TikTokers. And we just like met for the first time in person. Like, obviously we're like, dang, he's cute. And he's like, dang, she cute. Like, you know what I'm saying? But nothing happened. It was like, we stayed in 2 separate hotel rooms, and we just like got to go out in person. He's the exact same as he is like online as he is in person. And I love that. Got this like country twang. And I was like, dude, I grew up in the country, so I love that. And so I don't know, we clicked and continued to click. But then like, I told him, I was like, you know, I'm on OnlyFans, right? Like, if like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you know about that, but like, I am. And like, so in my heart, I was like, you know, if he's going to be done with me, he needs to know this. Like, he needs to know this. And so I don't get hurt, you know? And he's like, well, I don't care. So, and we just continued being friends. And later on, he had some questions about it. And I know it's like a hard territory to like go through, you know, because like if someone doesn't know who OnlyFans, like what OnlyFans is, and he's not on that side of the internet, like it's a pretty broad world. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, the promiscuity of it is wild.
Whoa.
So I don't know. We started talking about, liking each other, and he made it very clear to me that he wouldn't date somebody who's on OnlyFans. And I was like, no, that's fair. That's fair. You're a Christian. Like, but the one thing that Jordan did from like almost day one was like texted me Bible verses, and he would outright speak. He was very open about Christ with me, and just like always telling me like, you know what, God has a better purpose for your life, and like you're so much more worthy than this. Like just speaking so much love over me, like God's love over me. And it was like, I'm just so thankful that Jordan listened to that call from God. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the one planting the seeds when nobody else was, like not even my own family. So Jordan just continued to plant those seeds. And in December, that's when I decided to give my life to Christ. I was like in my living room all alone, and I was like staring at my fireplace, and like this memory will be burned into my brain forever. Like just staring at the fire, sobbing. And like sobbing was a really abnormal thing for me because I didn't feel anything. I was like heavy pot smoker at the time. So I was like numb to the bone. So like, I don't know, like I was staring at the fire crying. I was like, God, like you need to tell me something. And my Bible was out because like the week before I was cleaning out the shelves, and I found my Bible from 2009. And so I just started looking through it, and there's all these highlighted passages and like writing all over the Bible. And I was just like, God, you need to give me something because I have nothing right now. And then God just like so openly spoke to me and was like, I was all you ever needed. And that answered all of my questions. Like everything that I was like, why is my materialistic thing bringing me nothing? I feel no love. I have nobody in my life. Like, why? He was just like so peacefully, just like I was all you ever needed. And again, like that just answered all of my questions that I had. And I felt so peaceful. And I didn't get saved right then and there. I just knew that I heard from Christ. And so from there, like my heart really started getting softened, and I really started getting convicted. And I didn't know how to deal with all of that. But like that Sunday, I told Jordan what had happened that night. He flew into California. We went to church that Sunday together, and I got saved and I got baptized at that church. Fearless? Was it Fearless Church?
Then downtown LA?
Fearless Church. So that's where I got baptized and saved. And it was an incredible experience.
Whoa.
So.
Well, I mean, first of all, like, dude, that's awesome. I mean, I think like you being able to pursue Nala in friendship and speak life over her is such a powerful thing. And then it turned into more than your initial intentions. That's super cool. But that's lit. And I think it's so cool too, because I can't even imagine, that night in December that you're staring at the fireplace, how you viewed yourself. You're like, man, I was numb because I was a pot smoker, but I'm also too thinking like, how numb were you to the way you viewed yourself? Because I mean, you said it like, yeah, I liked attention, so I was getting compliments, but those were, those were not good compliments. So I can't even imagine how numb you were to viewing yourself, loving yourself, not of a prideful way, or just like seeing your own value.
Well, like I completely thought that I was never going to get married. Like I was like, I've chosen this life, and like I know that like a good, respectful man won't want to marry me, and like everyone outside of that I don't want to marry, like other than a good, respectful man. So I'm like, I'm just not going to get married. I won't have kids. I guess I'll just be this rich old woman. You know what I'm saying? Like I was completely okay with that.
Rich old woman.
Yeah, like that's all I thought. I was like, well, maybe I'll just have my fun in this life, and that's about it.
Well, because your parents didn't accept you. Well, your dad did, but he really just accepted the money.
Facts.
And then your mom's just like, yeah, I don't accept you. Yeah. So you just assumed that no one else would accept you.
I did.
So December, you get saved, baptized. January of 2024 comes around. And so what does that look like now? You're saved.
So I'm saved. Jordan asked me to be his. Okay. Well, first what happened was, after Jordan had told me like he's not going to date somebody who's on OnlyFans, I'm like, no, I completely agree. Like you shouldn't. Like that's not right. So for me, like God had been convicting my heart, and I'm like, oh, I have to get off of OnlyFans. Like I spoke to his mom. His mom was such a prayer warrior for me in that time too. And I spoke to her about it. I was like my heart is like waving right now. Like I don't know what to do. He's like, this is my only form of income. I'm really scared. Like, what do I do?
Right.
You know? And she walked me through like this, like all of these like kind of options, you know? And she was just like, you know, no matter what you do, you know, like God loves you, but you can't keep this door open of sin. Like it's literally, it's taking you further away from Christ.
Yeah.
And I was like, got it. Because, you know, sin separates you from Christ. God never left us. Like, we left him. So I was like, okay. And I just continue to see this image on my head of this door of like black behind it. I was like, I got to shut that door. What is that door? It's OnlyFans. So after I spoke to her, he was at the beach. I drove to find him on the beach, and I just outright told him I'm deleting my OnlyFans.
Whoa.
Like, and it was like this joyous moment. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm free. Like,
Yeah.
I felt free. And I was like,
Whoa.
no way. So I deleted my OnlyFans. And then very shortly after, like a week and a half after, we were like in a dog park, and he just asked me to be his girlfriend. Whoa. And I was like, ah,
that's so cool.
So it was just so cool to like just be gifted things like by Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause at that point I loved Jordan. Like I was like, dang, like this man has helped me through so much, has been there through all of this hard stuff. And, at that point, what happened was like my dad stopped talking to me because I told him, like, hey, I told him I was quitting OnlyFans and like I got saved, and he's like, oh, well, that's great, but you should stay on OnlyFans at least another year and a half because you need to make yourself comfortable. You know, like this world's expensive. And I was like,
what the heck?
Are you kidding me? Like, did you not just hear what I said? Like, you know, so.
Well, because in your mind, he's like, you came back to our family as a pastor, but now you're telling me to stay on OnlyFans. In reality, maybe he was trying to look like the savior of the family, providing all the bread on the table.
That's
because
exactly
you're sending
what he
it
was
to
doing.
him.
Because what's crazy is through that situation, I started getting more in contact with the siblings, like my siblings, and they started telling me that, like, I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I was the one who gave those funds. And they were like, no way. Like, but then like the numbers didn't add up as far as like, as much as I had given him, the numbers didn't add up to what they got. So
Whoa.
like my dad was like pocketing most of it. Yeah. So
Whoa.
long story short, like we found out once again, my dad was cheating on my mom through that situation. And they started like divorcing. Like they started the divorce process again. This was like 7-8 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's crazy. It's so rad crazy. But through that divorce process, my mom and dad got separate houses. And my dad broke into my mom's home not that long ago with like a gun, a knife, and pepper spray, and got sent to jail. So he's now like, and he had like so many guns that were like scratched off the registration or whatever on it. And
Oh
so
my
he
gosh.
got even more charges because of that.
Whoa.
So he's now like facing like the sentence was life. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Oh my goodness. That's really intense.
it's crazy.
I mean, what an attack from the enemy to just be like, oh, you became a Christian? Let me split your family.
Not
again.
only that, but I got in a car accident that same week. There were so many things that happened. We were also in tax season again. So I'd quit OnlyFans. I'm no longer making that money, and my taxes were due, and I owed like $300,000 in taxes.
Oh my
And I was like,
goodness.
oh my.
That is so intense.
It was a rough week.
But like, how do you, gosh, that's so intense. What was it like leaning and trusting in God? I mean, thankfully you have, Jordan and his family, but I mean, you're a fresh believer,
Little baby.
and you're getting hit with some of the hardest practical problems. I mean, people might be thinking money on a small scale, but you owe the government more than $250,000, get in a car accident, got to pay for that. Maybe insurance goes up. Now your family's getting divorced, and then your dad gets arrested. What did that look like, trusting God in that?
It was hard, but you know what was crazy? I saw so many blessings through that. Like, I knew at that point in my head that was the enemy. I was like, oh, I get it now. Like, because going through OnlyFans, I really didn't go through much. Like, my life was pretty okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't trials and tribulations on OnlyFans. Like, if there was a problem, I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? But now, like, this is like real life stuff hitting once again. And I was like, no way. I knew it was the enemy. Like, but I continue to pursue Christ in other things too, like reading the Bible, worshiping, praying. My prayer life got so much stronger through that time because I was like, wow, I really need to seek Christ right now because the devil is trying real hard. Right. But I got really convicted also about like my modesty. And I was like, oh man, I need to go through I went through my entire closet. Or should I say closets? I went through all of my closets and just threw bags and bags and bags of stuff away. Whoa. Like, cause I was like, well, I can't like give this to another woman because then she'll wear it and like it's still promiscuous. Right. So I was like, let me just throw it all away. Right. So like I went through that. I stopped smoking weed. I like, especially with my cussing, like I cuss like a sailor. So like now I was like, oh man, I cannot be speaking like this. Like I'm a Christian. I represent Christ. Like the Bible specifically talks about having a foul language and how it's like, it's not what God wants for you again. So there were so many little things in my life that really needed to change. It wasn't just OnlyFans, but being obedient to God in all of the things helped me get so much closer to him, and it built my faith so extremely. Like the joy I have inside from like it wasn't even making sacrifices towards him. It was literally just saying no to the world, you know, like, cause Jordan said something to me that blew my brain. He was like, you know, the devil can give you things too, but he has a budget. And I was like, wow, like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the devil can give you money. The devil can give you fame. The devil can give you a lot of things to keep you away from Christ. You know what I'm saying? Right. But God does not have a budget. You know, he is the owner of all things good. So like, I knew that God was going to bless me through whatever, because even in the Bible it says like, I will provide all of your needs. It doesn't say I'll provide all of your wants, but I will provide all of your needs. And what are needs? Like a house over our head, food in our stomachs, water to drink. Those are needs. And if God promises he will provide, he's gonna do it, because otherwise he's a liar, and he's not a liar. Right. So.
Absolutely. So you guys start dating in January. Mm-hmm. You said you got married in March.
Yeah, we got married on Easter Sunday.
No way.
Yep.
That's so cool.
We eloped.
Cool.
Yeah, we got married in our backyard.
That is so fun.
Awesome.
And that is so amazing. There's the only thing I've ever seen about you on the internet is there was this one video clip, and I'm going to probably misquote it, but it was definitely when you were in OnlyFans, you were on the Whatever podcast, and I think they were grilling you about OnlyFans, and in return, you said something, you might remember what it was. You said something along the lines of like, no one would cheat on me. Yes. But do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I love cheating video.
Yeah. So how does that make, like, to you now, that was you before, and now you're obviously not that way. You're happily married. How cool is that?
So for me, like, I just recently went back on the Whatever podcast to clear those topics up. Yeah. Because if people don't understand social media, let me clear it up for you. It's a lie. Social media is clickbait. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get you to watch things, you sometimes and most of the time have to do crazy things, say crazy things, wear crazy things. Like I was wearing ears. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I was wearing furry ears, had like my boobs hanging out. Like I was literally full sending it. I had bright red hair. I was acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I knew, like, I know what it takes to get viral. Like I've been on social media at this point for years and years and years. I've been on so many podcasts. And I was like, for me, if I'm going into a podcast, like I'm going to say radical things. You know what I'm saying? Because I know men's minds. Like I know that in their mind, if they think I'm going to cheat, they think in some way they have a chance with me. You know what I'm saying? Whoa. So again, like it goes back to, I just wanted to make money. Yeah. And that's just using people. So for me, when I see that clip, because it pops up a lot, I'm like, man, I don't even recognize her. Like I feel so bad for her, you know, but like I'm really good at business. Like I'm really good at being viral. Like I'm just really good at it. So,
well, I think that, I think that clip, seeing that clip now and knowing who you are now is so encouraging to me, Because whether like because I just think like that's laughable now. Because
Yeah.
it's how you are. But I mean, it's like what you said. Whether you meant it or not, you were saying those things. So even if you didn't necessarily do the things you were talking about in that video clip, maybe that's the way that you viewed yourself. Like
Quite
I mean,
clearly.
it came out of your mouth. Like
Right.
the Bible says that out of the mouth comes the abundance of the heart. And I'm like, maybe it's not necessarily what you were doing, but it's how you viewed yourself.
Absolutely.
And now you're in an amazing marriage. And it's so beautiful and that's so cool.
Right.
And I think that's so sweet. And I think that's true redemption of just like everything that you ever thought of yourself to never happen. God's like, I'll show you something like like I have this for you. Like that's beautiful.
That's how I feel too. It was like such a gift. Again, that was like one of the gifts that God gave me out of being obedient. Like he gave me a husband, which I never thought I either deserved or would ever have.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, for people out there, I want to spread so much awareness, and like I can only speak from like the OnlyFans side, but like I've seen so many clips from OnlyFans girls saying these wild things, you know, and I'm like, clickbait. You know what I'm saying? Like I was there. I know, like they say things. I used to say things to get your attention and for you to subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the main purpose, and they bite it. You know, the consumers eat it up.
Yeah.
So like, again, whether I said it or not, which I did, obviously, me saying it, like you still bought it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And for me, I clearly stated in that podcast that I had been single for almost 2 years. Who am I cheating on?
Right.
I was literally like, I'm single for almost 2 years. Oh, I like to cheat. I'm like, how does that make sense to you?
Right.
So I'm like, again, you're not even listening to the context. You're listening to like the hook.
Yeah.
And you're biting it.
Yeah.
So.
Dang, that's crazy. But that's so real though. I mean, like so many people like just want to feel loved.
Yeah.
And they'll say whatever they do.
It was a cry for attention.
I mean, I would people please in high school. You know, definitely not to like a degree of saying anything like that. But, you know, in high school, I would be two totally different people to two different people in my high school in hopes that if I get both of them to like me, then I'll feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't work. And obviously in your case, you recognize that it didn't even work on a grand scale. And that's intense. So, okay. So last thing I want to talk about is your company.
Yeah,
the nonprofit that you guys are
change.
starting to start, because I think it's super cool. And I mean, you guys are, I mean, I think it fits in the name. I mean, you were radically changed by God. You're being the change in an industry that doesn't see a lot of pushback. And I mean,
I feel like one of the first people to push back, because like before me, there's not girls talking about their experience on OnlyFans. Like I don't see it anywhere. So I'm like, you know what? I've got to make a difference with Christ on my side. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's win this victory. Because if I could spread any kind of awareness, it would be do not get on OnlyFans. And to the men, do not buy from OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like you're buying a lie. One, you're not even talking to the girl. So like that's out of the picture. You're not speaking to the girl. I guarantee it, because almost every girl is being signed by an agency who is being pimped out by those guys. You're literally talking to like a 30-year-old man in India who's sending you their nudes.
Ew.
Disgusting. It's disgusting.
That is not okay.
So it's a lie. You're thinking you're starting this relationship with this girl or this guy on OnlyFans, and you're not. All they care about is the money that you're giving them. And for like the people on OnlyFans, because there's both guys and girls, like it's the easiest way to make money. But you're selling your soul to, it's not even to the devil, but you're just like selling it to to money. Like you're literally selling yourself to get money. You are a prostitute. You are literally like no better than that. And like, in that moment, yes, but like there's so much redemption, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you have done. Jesus loves you, and Jesus will and can save you. So there's nothing, like you're never too far gone. And that was such a testimony for me, because I'm looking at myself in this like mirror, like, you know, God, you don't even know what I've done. And God's like, dude, I've known. I knew before you did it, you know, and I still love you, you know? And that was a crazy, like, that was just awesome. But
Whoa.
yeah, Jordan and I started this company, Be the Change, to eventually start our non-for-profit Race to Change. So, because we feel very called to go do mission work, we started sponsoring a kid through World Vision, and that was our first kid. He sponsored kids before, but this was my first child to sponsor.
Yeah.
And it made me want to cry. I was like, oh man, I want to go meet these kids, and I actually want to go help in person because I have such a heart for kids. And Jordan wants to do like the building of churches, building wells, like all that kind of like manual labor. So that's like the reason behind Be the Change is mainly because anyone at any time in any industry, anywhere in the world could be the change. You have to stand up wherever you are and be that change. And we're seeing this like small ripple effect going on in all the industries right now, not just porn, but like the movie industry, like someone randomly got saved and is not proclaiming Christ. And like big football teams are randomly giving their life to Christ. It's not random, but you know what I'm saying? It's out of the blue. In the music industry, like it's so beautiful to see God like having people all over the world planting seeds in every industry all over the world. And you're like the head marketing director for OnlyFans in Australia just quit her job and gave her life to Christ.
Whoa.
Yep.
That's so powerful.
I was like, wow.
That is so powerful.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So your heart is just to encourage people to not only like say no to the lifestyle of sin, but then begin to walk it out and be a part of the change and bringing people into that lifestyle.
And our slogan is like, it all starts with you, because it does. Nobody can make you do that. It is a day-to-day walk with Christ, picking up your cross daily and following him. So again, it just starts with you, and you could, like if Jordan was disobedient to God, we would not be here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like if he didn't obey God to come and talk to me about the gospel and share what God's love looked like, we would not be on this couch right now.
Right.
So Jordan started that change, which then affected me, which then affected, I've had so many OnlyFans girls reach out to me and be like, one, how do I get saved? And two, how do I get off of OnlyFans? And what do you do after OnlyFans?
Whoa.
And so Jordan and I also started a company. It's the Be the Change TikTok agency. Yeah. So because I go TikTok live now for work. And so we started the agency to help pull OnlyFans girls off of TikTok and off of OnlyFans and to get them on TikTok live, because you can make a lot of money on that, and it's good, clean work. You know, you're just talking to friends and family kind of thing. Like it's really fun. So yeah, we feel like a really big calling to help people no matter what, and not just help, because like even God says like in the parable, like about, you know, if you can't just pray for someone to get food. You need to go get them food. Yeah. You know, if there's someone is cold, like don't just be like, oh God, please give them a coat. Give them the coat off your back. You know what I'm saying? So help provide for them. And I think that's like really strong message too. And like starting like an agency is just helping people get out of that lifestyle and into a new one while they're healing and stuff. So,
well, I think it's very beautiful heart behind the organization, everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Your testimony is powerful. It's the first time I've ever heard it, so it's super encouraging. Thank you for sharing, and tell me about y'all's marriage as well. It's super encouraging.
Thank you.
And can't wait to hear more about it later at Hibachi.
Let's go.
But that'll be fun. Love Hibachi. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, we're on all platforms, Bryce Crawford Podcast. Like, subscribe. Guys, check out Nala and their organization, Be the Change. We love you guys, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Bye.